Chloe had this whole thing where she made a bet with some friends that she could get me to fall for her in a single month. She stopped acting like a brat and started pretending to be this perfect, well-behaved girl just to get on my good side. The thing is, I knew about the bet the whole time. I just pretended I didn't know and went along with it, dating her for a year, treating her well, and basically giving her whatever she wanted. But then she actually fell in love with me for real and started talking about marriage. That's when I had to end it. I broke up with her, telling her with a heavy sigh that it had been a year, and the excitement just wasn't there anymore. When Chloe asked me what kind of wedding I wanted, it was like getting hit by a freight train. I just froze up completely. Marriage? My hesitation made her frown immediately, and the vibe in the room got super cold. She asked if I had never thought about marrying her. I looked at her, reluctantly admitting to myself that she looked great, slender and elegant, but I tried to talk her out of it. I told her divorce is such a hassle these days, especially with the mandatory cooling-off periods and all that legal stuff. She just laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. She said, "You want a divorce before we're even married? Oh, Mark, you're really planning ahead, aren't you?" It wasn't that I wanted a divorce before marriage, but Chloe had this look on her face like she knew every trick I was trying to pull. After dating for a whole year, part of me actually wanted to keep things going. She asked me seriously, her eyebrows bunching up, why I didn't want to marry her. I felt embarrassed, so I tried to hint that our age difference was the problem. I asked her if she didn't think she was a bit too young. Her face got dark, and she pushed against my chest lightly. She was young, sure, but she had everything a woman should have. Her hand held me in place, and I could feel how warm she was, full of resistance. I looked down at her jaw, which was tight with tension, and she snapped at me, saying she knew perfectly well whether she was young or not. Back when we were supposed to be having dinner, Chloe was in the living room trying to prove just how mature she was. At first, I teased her, saying she was just barely over 20, practically a kid. But then my mind started to wander. Later, Chloe was lying in bed, clinging to my waist with her head resting on my shoulder. She was being so clingy that I didn't even have the energy to complain about how uncomfortable I was. In a haze, I heard her whisper in my ear that she didn't believe I never had feelings for her. I mean, feelings? Sure. Anyone would have feelings with a girl this beautiful right there. But it wasn't enough to make me want to be tied down for the rest of my life. I never intended to marry her from day one. When I got dressed, I left a note for her with a breakup fee of $10,000. As I was putting on my shoes by the door, she ran out of the bedroom with her hair all messy, hugging my waist to stop me. Her phone screen lit up with the notification of the money transfer. She asked me what it meant. I gently pushed her away and said, "Breaking up. Isn't it obvious?" She seemed furious, tossing her phone aside and grabbing my wrist tightly just because I had mentioned marriage. She asked if I was really breaking up with her. I stared at her for a while, trying to figure out if she was acting again. Maybe she had played the role of the sweet girl so well for a year that she actually believed her own act. I smiled, deciding not to drag the conversation out. I asked her if she remembered what she told her friends. Her breath caught in her throat, and her eyes darted around. I reminded her that she told them men in their 30s are desperate, and that she could win someone like me over in a month. Our families did business together, and a year ago I was at a party at her house. I heard her make the bet. She said, "Mark is a bit older, but he's good-looking. Give me a month." Her grip on me loosened completely. Chloe no longer had the confidence to question me. She started to say, "So it's—" I sighed, trying to comfort her, and told her there was no need to explain. I didn't blame her. Her eyes lit up, looking visibly relieved. I continued slowly, telling her that it had been a year, and I was just tired of it. It was just youthful energy craving a conquest. She pretended to be a pure girl, and I was drawn to her beauty. We were just two people with hidden agendas. Who would have thought we'd last a whole year? She wanted to get serious, and that wasn't my path. Liking young girls was just a hobby for me, not my destiny. Ignoring her frozen smile, I patted her shoulder and told her that her service was good over the year, and to consider the 10 grand her tip. I told her we should part on good terms. After breaking up, I went abroad to clear my head. A year-long relationship ended just like that. Out of respect for my ex, I needed a break. I had just landed on the island when Elena called me. She got straight to the point, asking if I broke up with Chloe. I raised an eyebrow, totally confused. My stepsister never cared about my personal life, so why the sudden interest? I replied casually that the family didn't need me to marry for business alliances, so breaking up wasn't a big deal. She asked how I knew that. She chuckled softly, the sound crackling over the phone line, and it made the hair on my arms stand up. She stopped laughing and said nothing, just asking if I finished handing over my work before going on vacation. I ended the call. Elena is fine, but she's seriously like a robot. Everything is just procedure with her. If you mention work, she turns into a relentless nag. I avoid her whenever I can. A project had just ended, so I could take a few days off. Originally, I planned to enjoy this trip with Chloe, but obviously I scrapped the original plans of sunbathing and fishing and changed it to going to a beach model show. At night, the beach was lit up, with models walking by. My phone rang on the table. A model motioned for me to take the call, so I reluctantly picked it up. On the other end, there was chaotic, noisy music blasting. I held the phone away, glancing at the name on the screen. It was Chloe. Her voice was low and a bit slurred, like she'd been drinking a lot. She said, "Don't break up, please." She said she was wrong and was just saving face when she said those things to her friends. She claimed the truth was she fell for me at first sight. I asked her how much she drank and if anyone was with her. While responding, I sipped on a coconut juice a model handed me. She said no, she just wanted me with her, and asked if we could start over. Chloe sounded like a wet puppy shaking in the rain, really tugging at the heartstrings. I sighed and told her she should go home and rest. I asked what was wrong and what was going on. Then my voice stopped short. The phone, which I was barely paying attention to, erupted with angry noises. I shouted, "Chloe, what are you doing?" Her side of the line was noisy, and after a clash of sounds, someone yelled to call an ambulance. I stared at the phone screen for a few seconds, clicking my tongue. Dating Chloe, I valued her pride. She'd never let herself be the weak, dependent type in a relationship. During our romance, I'd indulged her moods. I didn't expect the breakup to be so messy, though. There wasn't much business with her family anymore, but it was better not to make enemies. My mood was ruined. I regretfully said goodbye to the model and booked a ticket back. Chloe had been knocked over at a bar and tumbled down some steps. By the time I reached the hospital, she looked worn out, with her right leg in a cast. The room was empty, and she had sent the nurses away. When I opened the door, she didn't even look up and tossed a cup at my feet, yelling at me to get out. The glass shattered at my feet, sending shards everywhere. I carefully stepped around them and brought in a basket of fruit. She was full of complaints, but when she saw it was me, every bit of impatience turned into delight. Then she quickly put on a front, stiffened her face, and didn't look at me. She asked why I was there again. She said, "You're living just fine after the breakup, aren't you? Surprising that you even care if I'm alive." I set the fruit basket down and glanced at her injuries. They didn't seem too bad. She asked if I really thought she was that heartless. She suddenly looked up at me, her gaze vicious and accusing, like it wanted to devour me. She asked, "Who could be more heartless than you?" The faint red around her eyes betrayed her feelings. Back when we were dating, her vulnerability always made me give in. I sighed. Chloe suddenly hugged my waist. Her leg in the cast was propped up on the bed, and she twisted her upper source, body over, and spoke in a low voice. She said, "Mark, I know you still care about me. If you don't want to get married, we can just date forever." I looked down at her head and chuckled softly. I told her she was still so young to be talking about forever. I pushed her away, and a gust of wind from the window slammed the door shut behind me. I glanced back, and I saw a shadow cross beyond the glass pane on the door. Chloe earnestly assured me she was serious. Really, I didn't believe her. Seeing she was fine made me feel relieved. This shouldn't affect our family's reputation. I told her to take care of herself and that I wouldn't keep her from resting. She grabbed my hand, looking surprised, asking if I was leaving already. I pulled away and waved. We broke up. Was I supposed to stay and play nurse? At the end of the hallway, a woman was waiting for the elevator. Her face was cold, exuding an aura that kept everyone at a distance. Others waiting for the elevator naturally stood away from her. I walked over. It was Elena. I asked, "Here to see Chloe? Why not go in?" Elena is the child from my stepmother's previous situation. She's quiet and distant. Even back in school, she was already managing the company. Not exactly someone who hung out with Chloe. She glanced at me and asked, "Does it make you happy seeing others in turmoil for you?" I smirked and asked if she felt bad for Chloe. The elevator arrived. She stepped in, and the others stayed put. She kept her finger on the button and stared at me until I got in. She released the button, and the elevator doors closed slowly. In the quiet space, it was just the two of us. I asked, "What, are you going to avenge her?" She scoffed softly and said she was just here for the show and didn't care what happened to Chloe. It was unusually harsh for her. I looked at her, her dark eyes meeting mine. She asked, "You like her that much?" I frowned, disliking being under that gaze, and pushed her hand away. Her hand turned red, but she didn't mind, and still didn't move away from in front of me. In the silent elevator, her breathing was distinct. She asked, "Am I not good enough?" I looked at her in disbelief, wondering if I was hearing things. I stuttered, You sure?" she said. "I might not be as playful as her, but I'm cleaner." The elevator doors opened, and I fled, pushing Elena aside like I'd seen a ghost. I didn't dare look back at Elena's expression. I took a deep breath once I was back home. The image of her downcast eyes lingered in my mind, mixed with expectation, colliding with a memory. In college, I was attracted to a senior known for her stoic and upright nature. I liked her focused demeanor. She was always unfazed. Until her birthday, when she drank too much. Flushed, she grabbed my hand, slightly slurred but sincere, and said, "If you're not serious, don't lead me on." Looking into her eyes made my heart race. She then leaned against me, drifting off in her daze. I never got to say that I was serious. Later, my mom brought me to meet her boyfriend. He had his kid with him. A clear face, still innocent, couldn't stop staring at me. I felt a chill in that moment. Mom, holding my hand, introduced them. "Mark, this is your Uncle David. This should be your sister. She's a year older. Her name's Elena." They curiously asked if we knew each other since we were at the same school. I looked at my beaming mom and stammered, "No, we don't." Throughout dinner, Elena's eyes never left me, and I didn't look back at her once. Mom had struggled enough over the years, and I wanted her life to be smooth from now on. I began avoiding Elena, suppressing my feelings, and she never sought me out. Her life continued unchanged. After Mom's marriage, we moved in together. Elena mostly acted like I didn't exist unless it involved work. Over all these years, it's just been work. Someone like her. I couldn't believe those words came from her. My phone buzzed, stirring something inside me. Reluctantly, I picked up my phone, dreading a message from Elena. But the notifications kept coming one after the other. I sighed deeply and checked it. They were from Chloe. Relief washed over me. She texted, "Mark, I'm serious. I'll wait for you. I regret how I talked about you to others back then. I don't ask for forgiveness, just a chance to make it right. I've only ever liked you. You were so kind, and despite knowing what I said, you stayed with me. Isn't that because I'm in your heart? I don't mind you having fun elsewhere. Why can't you give me a chance? Even criminals get a chance to redeem themselves. Would you really sentence me to death so soon? I won't give up on you." I didn't respond. Her messages grew more frantic, eventually becoming threats. I used to get an impression of pride from Elena, not clingy, never pursuing. Once lost, lost forever. Chloe, raised in luxury with everyone pampering her, couldn't hide her arrogance from her eyes. She never seemed clingy when pretending to be sweet. How did it come to this? As I watched the messages continue to pour in, I realized I had misjudged Chloe. Unlike Elena, who valued self-respect, Chloe was a privileged girl who went after what she wanted without reservation. I rubbed my throbbing temples, feeling a headache from this misjudgment. In that moment of sudden clarity, Elena's words echoed again. "I might not be as playful, but I'm cleaner." Collapsing onto the couch, I found myself in a daze. I realized I misjudged Elena too. I wanted to hide from Elena for a few days during my break, hoping she'd cool down, and we could pretend like nothing happened. That afternoon, Elena messaged me. "Mom wants you home for dinner tonight." I sat there silently. After graduating college, I didn't want to see Elena at home every day, so I found a place and moved out. At work, we're on different floors, so we don't run into each other often. Mom doesn't want me and Elena to drift apart, so she often tells me to keep in touch with her. Elena probably got the same lecture. No matter how awkward things get, we always pretend to get along at family dinners. I tidied up a bit, then drove home. When Mom and Dad are relaxing, they give the housekeeper time off and cook themselves, so it's just me and Elena in the living room. She didn't act any different, didn't even look at me. I felt relieved, but started wondering if I imagined it all. I watched TV for a bit, distracted while holding a slice of watermelon. Suddenly, someone wiped the watermelon juice off my lips with a tissue. Surprised, I turned to see who it was. Elena barely looked at me and tossed the tissue in the trash. "It's cleaner that way," she mumbled. Mom glanced over as she brought out some soup and said, "Stop eating watermelon. You won't have room for dinner." I said, "Thanks, Mom," grateful for her getting me out of that. I put the watermelon down and offered to help her. I didn't notice Elena's deep gaze from behind. Dinner was quiet. Afterward, I cleared the table and went to the kitchen to wash dishes. I heard footsteps at the door, and I said, "I've got it." I wanted some alone time in the kitchen, but the footsteps didn't stop. When I turned around, an arm wrapped around my waist, pinning me between Elena and the sink. Her lashes were lowered, her voice steady. Got nothing to say to me. The closeness was intense, like she wanted a kiss or a fight. Of course, I wasn't about to kiss Elena. I turned my head and said, "I like them wilder. You're not it." My heart raced right after I said it. Elena didn't move. After a long pause, I heard a cold laugh. Wilder? So who was chasing after me before? 5 years of peace and now digging up the past? We were young and trying different things. I'm older now and I know what I want." I felt like a jerk who got what he wanted and walked away. Her straight-lined mouth and shadowed eyes nailed me there. Truth is, I really pursued her, and she never warmed up. Her closest gesture was hugging me when she was drunk once. I braved up and tapped her forehead. "I treated you right back then. Nothing happened, so let it go." Her chest rose as she took a deep breath. My wrist was suddenly grabbed, and I tensed up against Elena's dark gaze. I wanted to back away, but the counter was behind me. "No walking away clean, Mark. Not after messing with someone." The pressure was intense. I desperately wanted to leave and fumbled my words. "But it's been 5 years. Isn't it too late to bring that up?" She asked, "Do you know how these 5 years were for me?" Her voice was low and heavy with emotion. "Mark, Elena, leave the dishes and come have some fruit," Mom called. Elena sighed, controlling herself. Her grip lightened, and I pulled away, slipping past her. My back was damp with sweat. I was never cool and calm in front of Elena. I felt guilty about chasing her then. She never mentioned it in those 5 years, so my guilt faded. Seeing her in pain now brought it back, full force, making it hard to breathe. Mom put a fruit plate in front of me, and I forked a piece of pineapple. The sweet and tangy taste spread instantly. "Good?" Mom asked, smiling. "No matter what, I don't want Dad's peaceful life disrupted." She said, "Got a party Saturday. Plenty of nice girls to meet." Interested, I choked on the pineapple, coughing. Mom patted my back and said, "I wasn't thrilled about you and Chloe. She was a handful and you got hurt. Breaking up is good. Stay home and I'll find you someone better." I snuggled to her. "Mom's the best." She stroked my hair, holding me close. Then she looked somewhere and asked, "Elena, wanna come?" Her name sent jitters through me. I didn't dare turn around. Her voice carried over. "Okay." Elena rarely goes to parties. I love a good crowd and show up to most of them. Not often do we show up somewhere together, usually only when discussing work deals. Once I saw Elena surrounded by people. I left her side to catch up with some friends. Todd handed me champagne and pulled me aside. "Curious, why'd Elena tag along? Doesn't seem her scene." I shrugged. "Who knows? Can't read her." He nudged me with his elbow. "You're both in matching colors today." I paused, looking down at my black suit and subtle green tie, then towards Elena in her green strapless gown. I took a deep breath. Elena's way tougher than Chloe. If things get awkward, I still have to continue sitting at the same family table. Coincidence, I'm sure. Todd and I are close. We went to the same university. He helped when I was after Elena. He chuckled. "Don't be too sure," he said. "Chloe announced online she'd win you back, and Elena commented." My eyes widened. Todd grinned. Elena wrote, "Don't go out in the rain." Chloe asked what she meant, and Elena replied, "About lightning in summer." He started laughing. Hard to picture Elena shading her like that. I couldn't help chuckling at the thought. Maybe Elena was just waiting for you to break up. His guess was spot on. I sipped my drink. Suddenly he motioned with his eyes. I turned to see Elena breaking away from the crowd and heading my way. The banquet hall doors swung open again, and everyone inside turned to look. A foot encased in a cast appeared first, followed by Chloe, slowly wheeling herself in on a wheelchair. She glanced around, and her eyes brightened a bit when she saw me. Steering the wheelchair my way, she came towards me. Next to me, Todd couldn't conceal his excitement. "They're all heading to you, right?" he whispered. It was like he was about to watch a circus act, and I was the main attraction. As Chloe wheeled over, I made a move to walk away, but she caught up. "Mark!" she called. I felt a slight twinge of despair, but kept up a cool facade. I looked at Chloe. "Shouldn't you be resting in the hospital for a bit longer?" She wasn't in a dress, just a white t-shirt and some sporty pants, radiating a youthful vibe. She gave me a sidelong glance and raised a brow. "You care about me?" I gripped my glass tighter and forced a smile. "I just meant take care of your health, but since you're asking, I guess you're fine." Chloe's expression faltered, and someone chuckled behind her. Elena came into view, a subtle smile playing on her lips as she looked at Chloe. "Nice new wheels, Miss Chloe." How could she crack a joke with such a straight face? Chloe seemed to only then notice her, and the feigned, gentle look in her eyes was replaced with determination. However, sitting in a wheelchair made her seem less intimidating. Apparently, Elena appreciated my taste. The invisible tension slowly filled the air. Before I knew it, my champagne was gone. I grabbed another. From the corner of my eye, I saw Elena watching me. I paused. She took the champagne from my hand and replaced it with a juice. "Drink less," she said softly. I shrugged, not really caring what I drank. Sipping the juice, Chloe sneered suddenly. "Feeling your age, huh?" Elena paused for a moment. Chloe then turned to me. "Mark, drink what you want. If you get drunk, I'll take you back." "He doesn't handle alcohol well, ends up with a terrible headache, right, Miss Chloe?" Elena chimed in smoothly. As Chloe's expression darkened, Elena went on casually. "Being young means being a bit thoughtless, I guess." She sighed gently. Taking care of a big kid like that must have been hard for Mark. Before Chloe looked like thunder. "In a year together, Mark never got drunk with me," she announced, emphasizing the year part. Elena smiled a little. "He probably wanted to keep up appearances with you. Close people don't fuss over that stuff." Todd murmured in my ear, "Man, Chloe's not holding her own against Elena here." Chloe let out a somewhat fake laugh. "When it comes to closeness, as Mark's sister, you're definitely closer than me." Elena's face chilled instantly. "But that sort of closeness is all yours. I'd rather be his partner than a sister." Chloe's words had a sting to them. Elena's gaze suddenly became intense. Todd glanced at Chloe with newfound admiration. I shook my head, put down my juice, and broke off from the face-off, heading to the restroom. Todd trailed me, mumbling, "You can't keep this up, can you? It's clear they're into you. So is it the old flame or the even older flame?" I pushed his head away. "Between A and B, I choose C." He stopped in his tracks, surprised. I walked further, and he caught up. "This new flame is going to have a tough time." He's got a point. Choosing neither of them might leave me lonely forever. If that new person doesn't outshine these two, well, Elena's pretty rational. But Chloe? Who knows? In the restroom, my phone buzzed furiously. Always Chloe with those messages. I ignored it, came out, and went back to the hall with Todd. Chloe wasn't interacting with Elena anymore. She was fiddling with her phone. Elena was encircled by others again. Scanning the room, no one's looks compared to Elena or Chloe's. Todd, lacking drama, went off to find his fiancée. I sat alone until a girl in a white dress came over, raising her drink to me. "Mr. Mark, I've heard a lot about you." Before she even sat down, I felt sets of eyes from around the room zoning in on us. Man, women can be such trouble. The girl looked puzzled. "What?" I snapped back, and gave her an apologetic smile. "Sorry, got a bit distracted." If I wasn't tangled up with those two, I'd probably enjoy chatting with this girl. But nearby, Chloe's wheels were practically sparking with fury. I finished my champagne in one gulp, set the glass down, and excused myself from the girl. Sorry, I need to step away. The event was pretty dull, with the most excitement coming from us three. Chloe and Elena had already drawn some attention with their spat. I didn't want to be the center of attention again. When I got to the car, the driver saw me alone. Waiting on Miss? Leaning back, I replied, No, let's head back. My phone buzzed again with Chloe's relentless messaging. The latest one told me to wait for her. I turned off the screen and set the phone down, rubbing my temples. At home, I took a shower, changed into something comfier, and Mom brought in some honey water. Did you drink tonight? Your cheeks are all flushed. It didn't hit me while drinking, but on the ride it finally did. I took a swig of the honey water. Just a bit, not much, she smiled. I figured with Elena around, she probably kept an eye on you. We sat by my bed and I sipped from the cup, sitting cross-legged on the carpet. Mom, you seem to like Elena a lot. She's a good kid. Don't you like her? I mumbled into my drink. I wouldn't say I don't. Back in college, I totally fell for the senior in a white shirt. It was love at first sight. No exaggeration. The more I got to know her, the more I thought she'd be a great partner. Being with her would have made me really happy. I shook off my daze as my mom stood up and said, You should take a rest. I'll head out now. I flopped onto my bed. My phone buzzed again, so I glanced at it, and then set it to silent. I drifted off into a nap. I don't know how long I was out before I shifted and peeked through barely open eyes. My blurry vision saw a silhouette at the foot of my bed. A person. My brain snapped awake, and I opened my eyes wide. When I realized it was Elena, my racing heart finally calmed down. I'd nearly jumped out of my skin. I sat up and threw my pillow at her. What's your problem? Elena caught the pillow and then leaned over me. Suddenly we were face to face, with her breath on my cheek. My heart tightened. She reached over me and turned off the light. We were left in a dark room, our breaths mingling. You, I muttered, swallowing hard. Before I could get another word out, her soft lips, slightly smelling of alcohol, pressed against mine. Her sharp canine nipped at my lower lip, and I opened my mouth instinctively to escape the slight pain. The room's air was sucked away. My chest felt tight. My head spun as if I were drunk. I'm not good at resisting a woman's charm. It took all I had to push her back a bit. What are you doing? Could this really be something Elena would do? What happened to all her rules and decorum? You said you liked it wild, she murmured, her forehead resting against mine. Her hot kisses came back, making it impossible to resist her warmth. Would my mom approve of this? Her good kid of a son getting kissed by her? I turned my head away, breathlessly whispering, No way. But she grabbed my chin to turn me back. Yes way. I raised my hand to cover those tempting lips, gritting my teeth. We're on the same household registration. Elena seemed upset, her breath quickening. She bit my hand hard enough that it hurt. My scalp tingled. You've always known I was adopted, right? She said. The first time I met David, he looked so familiar. He resembled my biological father a lot. Soon I guessed he was my mom's first love, also my biological father's brother, who he'd envied his whole life. David was born into privilege. My biological father was an illegitimate child. His status changed only when his mom married up. He resented everything about David, and he trapped my mom in an old-school scandal, forcing her into marriage for the family honor. My mom gave in for my grandfather's business, which she agreed to protect. David was overseas when it happened, and by the time he returned, it was too late. After their marriage, David stayed abroad for 20 years. My biological dad flaunted mistresses at home, while my mom ignored it all. When my grandfather's company was facing ruin, my biological father turned a blind eye. After the business collapsed, my grandfather couldn't take it and jumped off a building. My grandmother fell ill not long after and passed away 5 years later. My mom was so distraught she tried to end it all. I cried and held on to her, snapping her back to reality. She clung to me. She started catering to my biological father's whims, becoming the woman he wanted as she gained influence in the company. She was ready when he died in a crash. At his funeral, she told me to follow my dreams as she would follow hers. Seeing David with Elena, well, I backed off for my mom's sake. Even then, I assumed Elena was David's real daughter and let go without much thought. Later, I found out she was adopted, but I'd already gotten used to seeing us as siblings, and Elena had been pretty cool towards me. I decided to forget the past through this lens. Outsiders didn't know Elena was adopted, and anything that might happen between us would provoke scandalous gossip. No way would I let rumors affect my mom again. Even if Elena was perfect for me. I pushed her away. The word would get out, I insisted, as if I didn't make myself clear enough. What kind of old-school thinking is that? She shot back. You know. She seemed way more conventional than she let on. Weren't you the one saying I should take relationships seriously? She knew about the rumors with other people. At first, she looked at me like I was beneath her. She lowered her gaze to me. I meant being serious about me, not anyone else. I pressed my lips together and turned away. No. We sat in silence for a long while, only our breaths between us. Is this because of Chloe? She asked. I hesitated, then agreed. Yeah, because of her. I only broke up to show her how much she loves me. Pain hit my lips, blood tasting metallic. Mark, she whispered over my shoulder. Are you really this cruel to me? Knocks sounded from the door, breaking the tension. Mark, Chloe's here to see you. Are you up? My mom called. I quickly pushed Elena away, this time without resistance. I avoided looking at her and rushed to fix my hair and clothes, hoping I didn't look too disheveled. I'm up. I turned on the light and opened the door. My mom stood there with Chloe, who looked at me with a bit of blame in her eyes. She was upset I hadn't returned her messages. I'll leave you two to talk. I'll bring some fruit over soon, my mom said, walking away as Chloe wheeled herself into the room. Suddenly, I remembered Elena was still there and rushed to stop Chloe, but it was already too late. Chloe stared at Elena, who was sitting on the bed. Elena's lips were much more vibrant than usual. I noticed it, and so did Chloe. She suddenly looked at me, or more precisely, at my lips. I touched my lips lightly and winced. Elena seemed so gentle, yet she enjoyed biting you too. Just those 2 words were enough to show how angry Chloe was. Her fingers gripped the wheelchair's armrest so tightly that her knuckles turned white, but only for a moment. After taking heavy breaths, she forced a smile at me. Mark, after eating well, can you swallow humble pie? A woman over 25 is on the decline. You're really not picky. She held one of my hands and looked up at me. It reminded me of the border collie I had when I was a kid. Smart and quirky, but when I was stern it would sit by my side obediently, looking up and wagging its tail. I touched my nose. Elena remained expressionless. Oh, is Ms. Chloe foreseeing her own future? She sneered. Better take care of yourself now if you want to keep attracting people. If Chloe's legs weren't injured, she probably would have already gone after Elena. Chloe's eyes were locked on Elena, like a wolf cub ready to pounce. "No need for your advice," Chloe shot back. "After all, I had a year and you didn't even last a second." "Who told you about a second?" "Shut up, both of you." I quickly pinched Chloe's lips shut. Her eyes flared with anger as she scowled at me. I let go of her and used my strength to wheel Chloe towards the door. "It's late. You should go home," I said. "I'll see you out." Mom brushed past with a fruit platter. "Leaving already? What's Elena doing in Mark's room?" I pushed Chloe into the elevator. As the doors closed, I finally exhaled and leaned against Chloe's wheelchair. She was unusually quiet until we got out of the elevator, and I took her to her car. Her mood was painfully low. "Was it because of her?" Chloe asked suddenly. "Huh?" I paused. The driver, noticing, stepped away. Chloe whispered, "Todd told me you used to like Elena when you were with me. Was it because I resembled her?" I was dumbfounded. Apart from them both being older sisters, they had no similarities. But she didn't look up. "Did you just want to see her through me?" I was at a loss for words at her assumption. Her eyes were redder as she lifted them towards me. "Because you couldn't be with her openly. You used me as a stand-in." "Believe what you want," I said. She lowered her gaze, letting out a bitter laugh. "You toyed with me like a dog. Mark, do you have a heart?" I pressed my lips together, ignoring the faint pang of guilt, deciding to uphold her narrative. "Since you already know, I won't hide it anymore. You're right. I've always liked Elena." She didn't say anything else. I waved to the driver instead. "I won't see you off." Turning away, I thought to myself, 2 birds with 1 stone tonight. Unexpected bonus. But then Chloe grabbed my hand. I looked back, surprised. She held it tightly, silent. I tried to pull away, but her grip was firm. "You..." I was stunned. Her grip seemed like it would crush my hand. "You can come back, and I won't mind." My eyes widened in disbelief. Did she hit her head or something? My heart filled with uneasiness, and I had no words. I turned to see the driver's eyes wide open. I told him, "Take her for a checkup tomorrow." The driver nodded, still dazed. I lowered my voice near him. "A psych eval too." I walked towards home without looking back. That prickling sensation faded only after stepping inside. I drank some water to calm my nerves. Chloe's gaze replayed in my mind. I sank into the sofa, rubbing my temples. The seat next to me shifted as it sank. Elena had joined me. Her composed demeanor returned, ready for negotiation at any moment. Her calm eyes held a hint of sadness. "I don't need any title." I almost got lost in her gaze, quickly pulled back to reality by her words. "If you were to say you actually like Chloe, Mark, you're in deep." I thought, needing to keep the story, but without the cover of night under bright lights, Elena's eyes spoke otherwise. She knew I lied. I spent 5 years convincing myself. Now just nod? The temptation was strong. But I couldn't nod. "With your qualities, you could." "I won't. It's not about what you want. I'm rejecting." "I won't listen." Her serious, mischievous attitude made me chuckle. "You have everything I like. I know you care about Mom." She hesitated, exhaled. "I don't need you to be responsible." I clenched a fist, resisting the temptation, but her offer was really tempting. Resisting. So tempting. Resist. My thoughts battled, and I pulled my hand back. "I think you should just get some sleep. You have work tomorrow." I got up and walked upstairs. From now on, I'm someone who's resisted temptation. It was a restless night, turning back and forth. Even in sleep, I couldn't escape dreams. Chloe became a shy, innocent pup, and Elena did everything to seduce me. Awake in the dream, then realized reality was worse. All of it was true. I fidgeted in bed, then got up to start the day. Breakfast is set downstairs with Mom and Dad there, but Elena's not around. She's already headed to work. That was a relief. I sat at the table and started eating, pondering my situation. Maybe I shouldn't stay at home anymore. I'll go back to my place tonight. If all else fails, maybe I could request a transfer abroad. Wait for the excitement to cool down. After breakfast, I headed to the office. 2 big bouquets of flowers were waiting for me. One had a card with Chloe's name written all bold, like she is. The other was inscribed with a card that said, "I don't want to miss the 6th year. If you're willing, I can keep waiting." Flowers like these showed up every day for the next 2 weeks. Chloe's pursuit of me was practically public knowledge, loud and clear. There were gifts and surprises, never missing a beat. When I got home, I found a giant package. I hadn't finished tearing off the tape when she popped out, hugging me tightly, but she wobbled a bit. "Happy birthday!" I was shocked. "It's not my birthday today." She whispered in my ear, "It's my birthday. I'm wishing you happiness." Elena's affection was subtle. One night, I happened to open the curtain. There she was, under the streetlight, leaning against her car. I thought my eyes were playing tricks, so I dialed her number. The phone barely rang before she picked up and looked up at my window. "Can't sleep?" She wasn't supposed to smoke, right? She flicked the cigarette and stubbed it out on the trash can, her voice raspy. "Wanted to try it out, but it's not for me. Not gonna do it again." I realized I had backed myself into a corner. I liked being free, no strings attached, but my mind wasn't at peace. Their constant presence was getting under my skin, and I was pushing limits to get away from them. Finally, I sent a message to both of them. "Let's leave it at this. I'm a bad guy. I want it all." I checked my vacation days and used them all up, hopping on a plane to escape overseas. As expected, they didn't come after me. I relaxed for a while, but found myself unable to sleep. Mom video called and saw my dark circles, full of concern. "What's wrong, dear? Is the new place not agreeing with you? Do you want to come home?" I held my cheek in my hand and shook my head. "Just some young adult problems." Mom's eyes crinkled with a smile. "What are you worried about? Mom's got your back. Just do whatever you feel like." I couldn't help but laugh. "What if I wanted to do something bad?" "My son isn't like that. What could you possibly do wrong?" She looked at me, her gentle eyes seeming to understand everything. "I just want you to be happy. Don't tie yourself down with too many rules." I looked at my mom, my mind blank for a moment. The weight on my heart was lifted. I was dating to be happy. How did it get this complicated? I knew what I needed to do. Mom's eyes crinkled again. "Don't be upset. Oh, by the way, Elena's got an international deal right in the same country where you're vacationing. Why not hang out with her? She's young too. Shouldn't just bury herself in work all the time." My back straightened in surprise. "And also, Chloe's been looking for you. Even asked me where you went." The doorbell rang. Epilogue. Chloe hit a bit of a snag when she landed and called Mark for the address. Mark and Elena were already at the aquarium watching dolphins by the time she found them. They were wearing similar outfits. Chloe felt a little uneasy thinking they looked good together, but quickly shook the thought away. Elena probably just copied Mark's outfit. She was exhausted from traveling, her face showing it. Elena's expressionless eyes scanned her. "Did you arrive in a time machine?" She didn't bother to respond, looking at Mark with a pout. "Mark, flying was so tiring." Mark's lips tightened, a hint of concern in his eyes. Chloe knew Mark couldn't resist that look. Elena's soft laugh broke their moment. "You're still young. You should have taken the train to show you've got stamina." Chloe managed to smile. "By your logic, I should have taken a rocket. It's faster." "Like you," Elena said. Chloe's gaze turned colder. In their verbal spar, Mark handed each a bottle of water. "Talking must have made you thirsty. Take a break." Both quieted down. Then Chloe feared she might miss her chance with Mark with just a misstep. Observing them, she thought she noticed a change between Elena and Mark. But maybe not. Elena's poker face revealed nothing. It was always Mark playing her. She couldn't tell. So be it. She wasn't in a rush. She was younger than Elena. If anything, Elena would give up first. She had time to wait.